Hello everyone, I'm Freaky, welcome to the video. Today I'm going to be reacting to Death Battles, Ant-Man versus Atom. So if you guys haven't seen this video, please go and watch this video. So what's that come back, watch this. So let's continue. Okay, I know what the gimmick is here. It's they can both shrink to a nano size and they can fight. You know what? Screw it. Let's get right to the fight. Give me a little bit of a history lesson for these guys. Okay. So this is Ant-Man versus the Atom, and 3, 2, 1, and go.
This episode is sponsored by BetterHelp and Mint Mobile. Ant-Man, Marvel's founding member of the Avengers.
The Atom,
Seriously?
DC's legendary Mighty Might.
Good things come in small packages.
The bigger they are, the harder they fall.
We're just trying to get these out of the way.
He's Wiz and I'm Boomstick.
And it's our job to analyze their weapons, armor, and skills to find out who would win a death battle. Did you know that ants can lift 50 times their own body weight? That'd be like if you lifted a car straight over your head.
I did, thanks to my fun fact of the day calendar. Also, Hawaiian pizza was invented in Canada yesterday.
Well, I bet your calendar didn't tell you that Dr. Henry Pym, aka Hank, was considered a genius at a very early age. By 3 years old, doctors declared that he was smarter than both his parents combined.
He eventually majored in biochemistry and became one of the most successful scientists in his field. He had big ideas about shrinking the size of cargo to reduce shipping costs. Logistics.
All of which made him a laughingstock in the scientific community and sparked a long-lasting insecurity and need to prove himself.
But he did it. He developed a working serum. He went from laughing stock to Christmas stocking. The much better stock, right behind Bean and Live.
So, naturally, he tested the serum on himself, like any self-respecting scientist would, and shrank down to the size of an ant.
And just when things started going south, a sweet little ant, let's call her Aunt Hathaway, swooped in and led Hank safely back to his lab where he could return to full size.
Hank then harnessed the serum and became the superhero, Ant-Man. Along with his new identity came a fascination in entomology, which makes total sense. Ants are fascinating.
Did you know that ants can talk to each other in a bunch of different ways? Through touch, sound, or even sharing information by barfing at each other.
It's actually called trophallaxis, and they're not barfing per se. It's more like passing food mouth to mouth.
Gross! Hank figured out how to communicate with his new pets. Not by barfing, but by creating a cybernetic helmet that mirrors an ant's antenna. And he's even developed genuine relationships with some ants, like Ulysses S. Ant here.
But he didn't stop there. Hank developed a lot of amazing tech like a stinger pistol that focuses his bioenergy into a stun beam, and image-inducing camouflage to mask himself as an ant. It worked so well it fooled Reed Richards, the smartest guy on the planet.
He also built a suit that runs on that nifty serum he made back in his lab. It lets him shrink thanks to the newly discovered Pym Particles, named after himself. Classic Hank.
And the Pym particle is the key to unlocking the fundamental constants of the quantum mechanics at play here. They enable you to decrease the distance between atoms. However, in order to do that, he'd have to change the Bohr radius, the ratio of electron mass to the distance the electrons orbit an atom's nucleus.
Well, of course. Like how when you make a bagel pizza, you can't fit the whole pizza on the bagel. Believe me, I've tried. It's too small. You just gotta put less on.
Sure, Boomstick. So the Pym particles are actually displacing mass to an alternate dimension in order to maintain that ratio.
Oh, it's like having a second bagel to put the rest of your pizza on. I get it.
But if that were true, he shouldn't be able to punch with full-size strength if he has less mass.
And he's definitely lighter, because otherwise he'd crush the sweet ants he rides, like Vincent Van Gogh here.
His mass is being replaced with massless neutrinos, but that doesn't adequately explain how he can have less mass and seemingly more mass at the same time.
Sure it does, Wiz. Trust Pym and his particles. Look at the guy. He's explaining the whole thing while wearing a lab coat. What's more trustworthy than that? You're the exception.
You think you understand this?
Oh, of course. He's small but strong. You said something about a boar, so I guess you wanted ham on that pizza, but I already made the pizza.
Will you take that coat off?
No. Oh.
Regardless, there is virtually no limit to Hank's ability to shrink. He can go beyond subatomic down to the underspace, a plane of existence below all realities in the Marvel Universe.
And Hank has literally changed his biology. He's rewritten his own chemical makeup to prevent anyone else from changing his size. And he's used Pym particles so much, he's now got an energy field around him that lets him change the size of people or objects on the fly, through touch or by straight up firing Pym particles in the air.
He's never shy about using them either. He eventually supplied his wife, Janet Van Dyne, with some Pym tech to become the Wasp, his partner in crime fighting.
The
Nice.
two ended up rubbing shoulders with A-listers like Thor, Iron Man,
Wait a
and
sec,
the Hulk
she's
to
white?
take down Loki. Ant-Man and the Wasp were actually the ones that captured him and pitched the idea of forming the Avengers.
Unfortunately, Hank's insecurities started to creep back in, and he felt that if he wanted to keep up with the big heroes, he was going to have to think bigger.
Enter a bunch of those Pym-powered alter egos like Yellow Jacket and Giant Man, where he can grow anywhere from 12 feet tall to so big he can enter the overspace, the polar opposite of the underspace.
There he met Eternity, who called him Earth's Scientist Supreme. Something he won't let you forget.
Hank pushed himself to these insane heights even though he knew the strain on his body could be fatal.
But he simply didn't care and kept pushing himself. Thus, his greatest and worst creation was born, Ultron.
Yep, all the Tin Man Tron was created by Hank, not Tony like the movies. But the mass murder butt thing turned out pretty much the same. Big swing and a miss there.
The fallout from Ultron left
Oh.
Hank in a bad place, to say the least. His guilt made him feel like an utter failure, and that his best work was behind him. This led Hank to do unspeakable things.
A real low-life move. And even though poor mental health doesn't excuse this behavior, it was clear that Hank needed help. He suffered multiple mental breakdowns, endured the physical toll of the Pym particles, and had bipolar disorder that went undiagnosed for years.
So Hank finally did the best thing he could. He acknowledged his problems, got the help he needed, and committed to self-improvement.
And with that help, Hank slowly started making things right. He rebuilt the West Coast Avengers, gave Scott Lang his blessing to become the second Ant-Man, and finally defeated Ultron.
He created a backdoor Trojan infiltration code to defeat Ultron that was so advanced
I
it went on
watched
to
that one.
replicate and evolve all on its
Yeah, the
own
movie.
to create a new species made up of artificial intelligence.
They don't
Oh,
call
okay,
him
I
the
get it
god
now.
of modern AI for nothing. Hank has showed over and over again that he's an integral part of the Marvel Universe.
Not just by ways of his scientific contributions or victories in battle, but by proving that heroes come in all shapes and sizes. This episode is sponsored by BetterHelp.
It can be easy to spend all your time on your work, your friends, your family, but how much time do you actually spend on yourself?
Therapy can be an
Almost.
incredible asset to your mental health, even if you don't think you need it right at this moment. A lot of these problems can be hard to spot without self-reflection and an outside perspective. It's easy to accept things the way they are without realizing that maybe they could be better. Everyone can benefit from becoming the best version of themselves. Positive coping skills, setting boundaries, supporting others without leaving yourself behind, all incredibly important to practice in your journey for self-fulfillment.
And in this super busy world, BetterHelp is entirely online and designed to be flexible to your schedule.
All you have to do to start is fill out a brief questionnaire to be matched with a licensed therapist. And if you'd like to make a change, you can switch therapists at any time at no additional charge. Find more balance with BetterHelp. Visit betterhelp.com/deathbattle today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/deathbattle.
Okay, let's get to the atom.
Ray Palmer was born your average human-sized person. He grew up in the Northeast, studied physics at Ivy University, and did everything Mama and Papa Palmer told him to do. Probably.
Everything was pretty typical for Ray until one fateful night when he took a walk to take his mind off a frustrating experiment and saw a meteor fall from the sky.
He ran off to the crash and found himself a life-changing piece of a white dwarf star, and immediately started messing around with it. Who wouldn't?
He discovered that he could focus ultraviolet rays through it and shrink inanimate objects. There was just one problem. When he shrunk things, they exploded. Every time.
I do not see the problem. Sounds like he found a foolproof way of blowing stuff up. Case closed.
Ray was determined to figure out how to shrink objects without blowing them up. But first, he went on a hike with his nature club. And as a fellow scientist, I have to question his priorities.
But hey, it seems to work for him. I support it. Different hikes for different mics, am I right?
While in a cave, the ceiling suddenly collapsed, trapping everyone inside. After searching high and low for another exit, Ray found a small opening and had an idea. He could try to shrink himself down and get help. even if it meant he might explode before he got the chance.
But he didn't explode. I hope this story has a happy ending at least.
Perplexed, Ray determined there must have been something special about him that made him uniquely immune to the explosive fate. Something super scientifically convenient that we never get any more information on.
So he got to work and created himself a suit to harness the power of the White Dwarf star and became the Atom!
Yay!
Atom uses the white dwarf fragment to decrease his size while having control over his density, which makes a lot of sense considering that white dwarfs have the mass of a star, like the sun, but their volume is more like the Earth's, making them among the densest objects in space.
Just a teaspoon of the stuff could weigh up to 100 tons. That's one strong spoon!
When Atom shrinks and shifts his weight, he's actually sending his extra mass to a dimension called the Mass Zone.
Where, Atom could maybe live forever. At one point, Ray's apprentice, Ryan Choi, was murdered by Deathstroke, but willed some of his mass to the Mass Zone and was able to survive in that dimension. So these guys can potentially cheat death, but would be stuck there without any outside help.
But from one scientist to another, what's most impressive is Ray's creation of the Bio Belt. That's what allows Atom to use the power of the White Dwarf and shrink while maintaining any weight, from immaterial to his full 180 pounds. There's even been times where it's stated that he was able to become almost as dense as a white dwarf star itself for a few seconds.
The belt is also how he can travel through phone lines or through the air, on currents or light beams. Over time, Ray has spread out the White Dwarf power to other parts of his suit, and now the Bio Belt acts as a utility belt for his shrunken weapons and tech. It also prevents
cool.
his size or mass from being altered by any outside forces.
And while he can only increase his size back to his natural 6 feet in height, his ability to shrink is near limitless.
Oh.
He can travel between subatomic space to the microverse, the foundation of all reality in the DC universe, where atoms become the size of planets.
Typically, he can increase back to his normal size with such force he can smash through diamonds. So if Atom increases his size too much while still within the microverse, he could blow up the entire fabric of reality from the inside out.
Shrinking down to that size means that he can shrink small enough to rearrange atoms themselves.
Yep, Ray can take individual molecules and rapidly expand them to cook up a small nuclear blast in the palm of his hand. Oh, Ray Palmer. I just got that.
He also once disarmed a bomb by rearranging its atoms. At that size, he can move at the velocity of light. So fast and so randomly, he basically acted as a barrier between any and all possible atom combinations. But come on, there's no scientific explanation here for him to have superhuman senses or awareness to comprehend being everywhere at the same time.
It makes total sense. If you're small enough, you can fit in almost everything, everywhere, all at once. Like how you can fit an entire pizza into a calzone, and then you have a whole pizza everywhere inside the calzone. Man, I get it. Science is pizza.
No! Science is all I have! Why are you doing this to me?
On top of all of Ray's amazing inventions and abilities,
pizza.
he's also got some more classic weapons, like a laser blaster and a frickin' sword he used to fight a giant crocodile. Relative to his size.
That was when Ray was believed to be dead, but was actually just stuck at 6 inches tall and stranded in the Amazon rainforest, where he encountered an alien race known as the Catarthans.
And get this, he ended up leading a rebellion against their tyrant king and became the ruler of all the Kardashians.
And his heroism didn't stop there. The Atom was a very well-respected hero, and was even asked to join the Justice League of America shortly after it was formed.
He fought alongside Batman and his best bud, Hawkman. And you don't fight with those guys without picking up a thing or two.
Impressive combat skills aside, Atom's greatest contribution to the legendary team was always his incredible mind.
He once created kryptonite inside of Superman by realizing that if he gathered up enough Kryptonian protons, they would eventually become radioactive.
While stranded in limbo, Atom realized that if the Flash sped up the rate of a nuclear reaction's stellar evolution to exhaust its core, they could turn a fire demon into a black hole and use it as a wormhole to get back to Earth.
He's a brilliant, hard-working, and determined
Okay,
scientist that never
weird.
stops working on a problem until he's found a solution. I mean, if I figured out how to blow stuff up as well as he did, I would have stopped right there. I'm the hero that blows stuff up. Wouldn't even need to change my name.
Ray Palmer lived the dream, going from research scientist to legendary superhero. He picked up the pieces presented to him and built something greater than the sum of its parts.
Who knew this tiny titan with massive brains would have just as much brawn to back it up?
Hey.
This episode of Death Battle is sponsored by Mint Mobile.
It's no surprise, inflation is everywhere. There's no escaping it. And if you're looking for a break, look no further than Mint Mobile.
It's the first company to sell a premium wireless service online only.
You can save a ton and order from home with plans starting at just $15 a month.
That kind of low price is exactly what we all need in a time when everything is just getting more and more expensive.
It isn't sorcery. By going online only and getting rid of the traditional cost of retail, Mint Mobile can pass those savings on to you.
All plans come with unlimited talk and text plus high-speed data delivered on the nation's largest 5G network.
Better yet, you can keep your current phone number and contacts, so switching over is no big deal.
To get your new wireless plan for just
No, I'm not falling asleep.
$15 a
I'm just,
month
like,
and
in
get the
deep
plan
in
shipped
thought.
to your door for free, go to mintmobile.com/deathbattle.
That's mintmobile.com/deathbattle.
Okay. Could you guys do
All right, the
guys do
commanders
this at
are
the
set.
beginning of
We've
the
run the
video?
data through all
Crying out loud, these things are
possibilities.
annoying.
It's time for a death battle!
Here we go.
You should pick on someone your own size, relatively speaking.
How did you do this? It's laced with a particle I've never seen before.
They're called Pym particles, and I'm Hank Pym, Scientist Supreme. You should have knocked.
Oh. Oh, here we go. I think Ant-Man's got this.
You're using pieces of a white dwarf star? That's cute.
Everything we needed already existed. You just needed to be smart enough to put the pieces together. Scientist Supreme?
Did you know that at any given moment, there are about 2.5 million ants under your feet?
I mean, that makes sense, but why are you bringing that up right now?
Uh-oh.
Took you long enough. Okay, let's try this.
Uh-oh.
I'll hack his belt. You lay low and let me know what you find. Huh?
Nice try.
Oh. This is so funny.
If I search every electron path in his gun and study their probability wave functions, I just might be able to!
The microverse.
What's happening? He must be reaching his limit. If we don't get out of here quick, he's gonna destroy all of reality. Now, my pets! You have your tricks and your tools, but I created something beyond the limits of human existence. I operate on a scale you can't even comprehend.
Uh-oh. Eat over space.
How?
You can't be afraid to think big.
Holy crap baskets.
KO!
Ant-Man and Atom both had many answers to each other's abilities and arsenals. Both were able to store various weapons at a shrunken state, both were trained in judo, and they both could obviously keep up with each other's ability to shrink at will.
Though there was one small thing Adam couldn't answer to. The ants! Hank's bond with his pets lent him some small advantages, and Ray just didn't have enough anti-ant tools in his bio belt.
But in Adam's defense, the fact that he could punch with a fist packed with all of his mass meant that a close-up fight, while small, would leave Hank with few options since he can only punch with his normal human strength.
Even still, all Ant-Man would need to do is keep his ants with the help of his insect confidants and devise another plan of ant-tack, something Hank has no shortage of.
For instance, Ant-Man could alter Adam's size thanks to the Pym particle field he generates. Hank would just need to stall long enough to remove or disable Adam's biobelt, and he's had no trouble hacking enemy tech in the past.
But even with the biobelt busted, it wouldn't stop Adam's ability to shrink, since the White Dwarf power is contained throughout his suit. Destroying the belt only meant that Ant-Man could alter Adam's size.
Whereas Hank has literally rewritten his own biology to prevent outside size alteration. And while Adam's abilities are definitely impressive, they are limited, and Ant-Man simply aren't, at least by comparison. Hank could always match Ray's size or just take the fight to the overspace where he would have the edge, both physically and mentally.
The overspace can mess with the human mind, but we've seen that Hank can handle it.
But if the Scientist Supreme is really so smart, why didn't he just immediately go up Adam's butt and blow him up from the inside?
What's wrong with you, Wiz? Aren't you a fellow man of science?
This is the meanest thing you've ever done to me.
Adam sized up Ant-Man, but in the end, he was the one who had to say, Uncle.
The winner is Ant-Man.
Well done.
Thanks for watching. Stay tuned, we have a new Death Battle releasing every 2 weeks this year. And click the join button to get new perks and extra content. Planet level members even see Death Battles before anyone else, so don't miss out.
Okay, so who's this one? Oh, I know what this is. Yeah, I know what goes on, but I don't know a single thing about him. Man, that was one hell of a fight. Wow. So, if there's anything you guys want me to react to, just leave in the comments below, and I'll get the video as soon as I can. And I'll see you guys next time. Peace out.
And please don't forget to check out my other social medias. Please go and check out my alternative video platforms: Rumble, Odyssey, BitChute, Twitch, and please come and hang out on my Discord server. We can play games, have a movie night or a series night, or you can watch me play a few games. And if you guys have any suggestions of any videos you want me to react to, or any video ideas in general, you can tell me on my Discord. I'm also on Twitter, Gab, Getter, and Paula. I'm on Locals, Tumblr, Minds, and if you guys want to support me, please go and check out my Subscribestar. It's like Patreon, but better. All these things are in the description box below, so please go and check them out and subscribe to them. I'm Geek Freak. Peace out.